Like in the previous video, I'm going to stay off camera so I can show you some things while I'm close by. This video is on the phylum Chordata. And remember, this is one of the many phyla of the animal kingdom and the only one that includes the vertebrates, but it also includes some invertebrates too. But before we get into that, we have to talk about what makes a chordate a chordate. Every chordate has got 4 chordate characteristics at some point between conception and death. A notochord, which is a flexible rod that runs down the length of the body. Many chordates, the notochord disappears during embryonic development or leaves a small vestige. Pharyngeal arches are sometimes known as pharyngeal slits or colloquially gill slits. The gill slits of fish do come from the pharyngeal arches, but there are other structures that come from them too, such as portions of the jaw and the middle ear. Dorsal hollow nerve cord, that is a nerve cord running down the back, and you might be thinking, well, doesn't everything have a dorsal nerve cord? Well, no. Many of the other phyla, like the annelids and the arthropods, have a ventral nerve cord. Now, a postanal tail means the tail goes past the anus or rear end, whereas in most other groups, the anus is at the very terminal end of the body. The phylum Chordata is subdivided into 3 subphyla, 2 of which are invertebrates. You'll see the lancelet group and the tunicate group. The lancelet group are the cephalochordates, and the tunicates are the urochordates. Now, in this diagram right here, here is a lancelet, simple blade-like organism. It has all 4 chordate features throughout its life. Tunicates are basically filter-feeding blobs that sit at the bottom of the ocean or in shallow places attached to the bottom. Their larval stage has the 4 chordate features, and they basically metamorphose into something like this. The vertebrates, of course, are in the subphylum Vertebrata, and that's where we spend a lot of the time on. So the class names are written on the board here, and I have some drawings for you. Let me kind of zoom in on that so you can see the drawings a little better. The jawless fishes are the most primitive of the vertebrates. They include the hagfish and the lampreys. I do not have a hagfish to show you, but these are the ones that live at the bottom of the ocean. They're scavengers and they're extremely slimy. They're also known as slime eels. You might have seen them on TV. The myxini are the hagfish. The lampreys are in the class Cephalospidomorphae. This is a juvenile lamprey, and let me get a close look here. You can see that the body is somewhat eel-like. They do have a vertebral column, but they also possess all 4 chordate features throughout life, usually 7 gill openings and a mouth without jaws. The rest of the vertebrates have jaws. And speaking of jaws, sharks and rays are in the class Chondrichthyes, meaning cartilaginous fish. Chondro for cartilage, ichthyes for fish. Notice that I put class in parentheses for osteichthyes. That's not considered a monophyletic group, but it is a traditional classification. The bony fishes, they have a bony skeleton, a bony operculum covering their gills. The fin structure of both the sharks and the bony fishes are essentially the same. They have not only the dorsal fins and so forth, but they've got a pair of pectoral fins and a pair of pelvic fins. The jawless fishes do not have paired appendages. Finally, we get to the amphibians. These have a double life. They lay their eggs in water typically, and they have an aquatic larval stage and a terrestrial adult. They include frogs and toads and newts and salamanders. Notice that the reptilia includes the bird. The birds are considered within the reptiles, phylogenetically speaking. So they're not separated into their own class like they used to be. Traditional reptiles are turtles and lizards and snakes and crocodilians and also the extinct dinosaurs. And birds, of course, are the last group of that. Class Mammalia, the mammals. Mammals, of course, have hair and nourish their young with mammary glands. I did not draw a mammal on the board because you are a mammal. You can see yourself in the mirror as an example of a mammal. There is more detail on this section in your notes. Be sure to read through this all and go through this as often as you can.